Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited because I am getting started on my 2022 planting plan. It is mid to late February right now, and I am planning I finally decided what I'm going to plant. I've gotten all my seeds in and I'm super excited to start the garden season this year. I have all my notes and I want to talk about kind of my purpose and my goals for this year. If you've watched my channel, you'll know this is my first year planting a garden. Before I was renting, and we didn't have space really to grow food, and now my husband and I bought this house during the summer, so this will be the first year that I'm able to plant and actually grow my own food, and I'm so excited. So I want to talk a little bit about my purpose for doing this. My biggest purpose is to grow better tasting, more nutritious food. I want to kind of move away from buying so much at the grocery store. And already last year, one of my ways that I achieved this goal was to get a farm share. So I contributed or participated in the farm share for a local farm that's very close to my house, and I actually plan on continuing to do that this year to supplement what I can't grow myself. Another one of my purposes is to have fun and to do something to really cultivate pride in my own home and my own garden, and to reap the natural abundance that we have here in Southwest Virginia. I'd also like to share my abundance, so I'm really hoping to be able to preserve food and share it with my friends and family. That's really important to me. I show my love through giving the gift of food. That's always been really important to me. I love food, and so that's something that means a lot to me, to give to my family and friends. And hopefully I will be able to save money. At the end of the season, I plan on doing a breakdown of all of the money I spent to start my garden. I think I will have probably a higher upfront cost, but hopefully in years to come that'll be lower. And what I'm not doing is eliminating the grocery store entirely. So I know that there are going to be times, especially in the winter, where I just won't have food that I have produced stored for long-term storage. I'm hoping that I will have a lot more this coming winter than I did this winter preserved. I've learned so much this winter on what I need to do to preserve food for my family going into the winter. So I don't plan on eliminating the grocery store entirely, but hopefully I can really reduce the amount of specifically produce that I'm buying from the grocery store. As I said, I am not going to be stopping using my farm share. I have a CSA and I'm going to continue to support them. I really like the local agriculture that's going on in my area, and I can't grow everything that I need. So I am going to be continuing to support them, and I have already purchased my farm share for this year. And I'm not going to be too hard on myself. So I've made a decision that, if some things fail, they fail. This is really a learning experience. It's my very first year, so I think I will probably have a lot of failures, but hopefully we have some success. So my goals kind of are in line with my purpose. My goals are to have fun, to have gifts for my friends and family. I've loved, giving jams and jellies and things this year, and so I hope to do that again this year. Another goal is to minimize the number of items that I purchase. So I don't want to go out and buy all of this stuff to produce this food. I want to minimize the number of things I'm purchasing, hopefully using things I already have, and my plan is to hopefully buy most things secondhand. So there's definitely a few things I'm going to need. I don't have a wheelbarrow or garden cart, so I'm going to need to find one of those. I have one shovel. I don't own a rake right now, so I'm going to need to find one of those. So there are just a few different things I need to get. Another goal is to minimize cost. So this doesn't make a lot of sense for my family if I'm spending way more than I would just purchasing at my local, from the farmer that has my CSA, or from our local farmers market. So I need to make sure that I'm not, crazy overspending. As I said, I do anticipate some upfront cost, but I'm hopefully going to try and minimize cost. And I want to maximize my food production with minimum effort. So I work full time. I have a full-time job, and I still want to be able to travel and enjoy time with my friends and family. So this needs to be kind of a low maintenance thing for me, something that I don't need to spend more than an hour or two a day on. If it's any more than that, then it's really not going to be worth it for me. And I want the maximum health for the food that I'm producing, and also health of my soil. So I'm going to be using all organic gardening practices. I'm hoping to use no-till methods to minimize my carbon emissions as I produce this food. And with the goal of minimizing my effort, I am going to minimize the number of seeds that I'm starting indoors. So basically, you can find online lists of like every single seed you can start indoors at a particular time, but that's just going to be way too much time and effort for me. And so I plan on only starting tomatoes, peppers, maybe basil, probably not. So probably just tomatoes and peppers I'll be starting indoors. I have one set of grow lights, and I think I have 56 trays. And those were gifted to my husband and I a few years ago by my mother-in-law. And so I don't plan on buying anything else other than that. We have that, we're gonna make it work. And the rest I'm just gonna direct sow, and we have, I think it's 150 days, but like frost-free, which is enough to grow most of the food we need. We may only get one harvest of most things, but that's okay. I need to minimize the amount of time and effort I'm putting into seed starting as well. So that's another thing that's going to be really important for me. So when deciding this year what I wanted to plant, I thought about what we like to eat. And there's a couple of products that are really important for me to preserve up so that I have. And the two products I want to produce, like products that I need to do some kind of processing, are salsa. My husband and I love salsa. We go through a lot of salsa. So salsa and lots of tomato products. My life was changed this past year when I started canning my own tomatoes and eating the tomatoes that I can year round. And everything is so much better. It tastes so much better than what I bought from the grocery store previously. There's no comparison. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back. I will have to figure out a way to eat local, fresh grown tomatoes, not fresh, but locally grown tomatoes all year round. The taste difference is incredible. So if you're somebody who's wondering, oh, well, should I buy, what is the number one thing that I get really great bang for my buck taste-wise, I would say tomatoes. That really those tomatoes that I got from my farm share this past year is probably what got me on this whole journey of local food and growing my own food. So I'm super excited about that. And so I wrote down the things that my husband and I eat. And one other thing with minimizing my cost and minimizing my time is I'm not going to grow anything that I don't know we're going to eat. So I have pared it down to a short list of things that I know we will eat every single week, and those are the things that I think are really important for us to grow. So I'm just doing a staples garden, a pantry garden. This year I'm not going crazy with things I don't know that we like. And part of the reason is I can get a lot of those like kind of more specialty things and things that we eat just a little bit of from my farm share. So I don't feel a need to, for example, grow kohlrabi. It's not something that my husband and I eat every week. It'd be more of a specialty thing, and that is something that I know my farm share will have. Or if I need it, I can get it at a local farmer's market. So I haven't included those more specialty things. This is just the staples, just what I need to eat year-round, and things that I can preserve. At the very beginning of this process, I wrote down everything that we eat on a weekly basis, just the things I really wish we could grow so that I could eat those because that's what we love. And I wrote down tomatoes, peppers, hot and sweet, carrots, broccoli, green beans, kale, spinach, mustard greens, tomatillos, basil, parsley, green onions, artichokes, and asparagus. And that's what we're gonna grow. So that was basically how I made this whole plan. Is I listed all of the things that I wish I had and that I wanted to eat of what I grew, and then that's what I purchased. So with that, I'm going to move on to my seed haul. This year I purchased from Haas, I purchased from M.I. Gardner, and I purchased just from one local store. So I'll start with Haas. So I actually bought The Acre Homestead comes in this little pouch. The Acre Homestead container gardening kit from Haas. And the reason I did that is, first of all, I love Becky from Acre Homestead. I watch all of her videos religiously. I absolutely love them. But the main reason I bought this kit is because I am going to be doing a kind of a modified container garden. So if you saw my garden prep video, you'll know that my garden, when we moved into this house in July, the garden had not been maintained. And we have one small and then 2 really large garden beds that are completely overgrown with weeds, or they were when we moved in. I mean, weeds, like one of them has Johnson grass that's 7 or 8 feet tall, which is very difficult to get rid of. And we don't really have any other locations to convert lawn. Our backyard is completely landscaped with like tons of trees and bushes and all these things that were put in but weren't maintained in the last 5 years. And so it's completely overgrown with weeds. And so to get myself back to where I need to be to plant next year and going forward, we needed to cover all of those weed areas with cardboard and then put soil on top of that to prevent the weeds from coming in and killing all of the plants that I want to grow. So I found this book at a local secondhand bookshop. And I, just because I was getting started, and I saw they have a whole plan for how to create a bag garden. And so you can see these are actually gardens planted in bags of soil, like bags of compost that you can get from the hardware store. And this is what I'm going to be doing for basically my entire planting this year. My plan is to plant in the bags this year so that I have cardboard down on all of the areas I'm going to be planting. I'm going to be putting the bags on top of that. And then I'm going to be planting in the bags this year so that next year I'll take all of the plastic out, remove the bags, and I'll have soil which I can then plant for next year kind of more into the ground. But unfortunately for this year, because we have so many hardy weeds that are growing in the areas that we would need to grow in the future, there's really no way without a significant amount of till and much more work than I would be able to put in to do a garden other than this way. I've done a lot of research and hopefully I'm right. Put in the comments if you guys know of any other ways that I could do this with no till and, hopefully not, trucking in. I really didn't want to bring in like a ton of loose dirt because I just don't have the time to wheelbarrow that up. My house is on a hill, and so up the hill to the top of my property where the large bed is. So this is my idea for this year, and you can grow most things in here. The only thing I think that's on my list, I'm not sure I'll be able to plant in this type of thing, is carrots. Because carrots grow their root down too far, and so I don't know if I'm going to be able to grow carrots in these bags. I might need to get some larger containers. So this is my plan. Everything is going to be grown in kind of a container style garden, and hopefully this will give you guys a great idea. If all you have is a big old suburban lawn, this I have read is a really good way to convert that over without putting in the time and expense immediately to do a raised bed garden. So with that, I'm going to go over the seeds that I bought and also what we're going to plant. So the first group of seeds I bought is the Acre Homestead container garden kit from Haas. So Becky at Acre Homestead, she did a collaboration with Haas for all of these different vegetables or these different plants that can be grown in containers. And because my whole garden is going to be in kind of a container style, even though it's going to be on the ground, and each of the bags has holes in the bottom, it's going to be sort of like a container garden. So I bought her kit, but I'm not using all the seeds. And so I will go over all the seeds I'm not using that I bought this year at the end. But I'm going to start with what I am going to plant and start with that. So the first thing I'm going to plant here is these jalapeno peppers. This is going to go in salsa. I have some Mia Rosa. These are a sweet pepper. I'm not going to be planting any bell peppers this year. I don't want to take that on. I've heard they're difficult to grow. So I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to go for, these are like a long sweet pepper. These are also a sweet pepper, and they're kind of more of a bulbous shape. The next thing I'm going to grow is basil. I love pesto. I'm going to make a lot of pesto. I actually this past year bought like 5 pounds of basil from my local farmer's market, and I made it into pesto and froze it. And so we've had fresh, amazing pesto all through the winter, and that has been amazing. So I have the basil I'm going to grow. I'm growing all 3 varieties of tomatoes probably that were in this kit. So we've got Rosy Finch, which are, I think they're kind of a smaller tomato. And this is a container's choice, is a red tomato. And then this one, Lemon Boy, looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited about these. Another thing my husband and I eat a lot of is green beans. So these are Momentum bush beans. I've heard Momentum is a really good variety of bush beans, so excited to have those. Here are Kuroda Carrots. These are supposed to be really good for containers. They're not too long, but I think I'm going to need to purchase deeper containers to plant these. So I haven't 100% figured that out yet, but we're going to see how that goes. I have spinach, kale, bunching onions, and garlic chives. So those are the seeds I'm going to be using from the Haas container garden package with the collaboration with Acre Homestead. The next group of seeds I placed an order with MI Gardener, and I bought more than I needed because I actually placed the order with MI Gardener before I saw this Haas seed like packet, or the Haas seed collection. And so I had a bunch of kind of repeats with the ones from Haas. And so I'm not using every seed I bought from MI Gardener, but I am going to try these 42-day tomatoes from MI Gardener. Oh, by the way, MI Gardener is a great resource here on YouTube. He's got amazing videos that go really in depth on how to plant or grow every single thing. And so he's been a really great resource. These are also listed as container friendly, and these are a 42-day cherry tomato, which I am super excited about. It would be amazing to get tomatoes that quickly. The next one is broccoli. I have heard that broccoli is very difficult to grow. However, it is one of my husband and I, our favorite vegetable. It's probably the one we buy the most. And so I figured that I needed to give it a try because, I mean, if I'm not growing what I'm eating, then what am I doing? The next thing, I'm going to grow a couple of pumpkins. So these are baby bear pumpkins. They're small and they're supposed to be really good for roasting. And so I'm hoping to make a homemade pumpkin pie this year at Thanksgiving. We're hosting our entire extended family for Thanksgiving this year. So maybe I'll have a pumpkin for a pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Next one is another variety of green beans. So I decided I was going to grow 2 varieties of green beans, and I think I'm growing 5 varieties of tomatoes. Because those are the things that we honestly eat the most. My husband and I eat the most green beans and we eat the most tomatoes. And so I figured I should probably grow a second type of green bean just in case I don't have good germination on the first one. And then also at least I'll know which ones I like the best. These look really delicious and tender. They're also listed as container friendly, so that's really good for me. Next thing I'm going to grow is spinach. This is another variety of spinach, kind of the same thing. I want a lot of spinach to freeze so that I have it all year round. And so this is kind of a bigger leaf spinach than the baby spinach from Haas. So that'll be another one. And then I'm going to attempt 2 kind of crazy ideas. These are both perennials. These are artichokes. I absolutely love artichokes, but I never buy them at the store because they're so expensive. And I have an area of my garden that I'd like to grow more perennials in. And so I'm going to be growing some artichokes. Hopefully they come back year after year. That would be amazing, but we'll see how it goes. These artichokes are supposedly only perennial from zone 7 to 10. I'm in zone 6B, so we'll see. Then the last one is asparagus. So asparagus won't grow the first year, but I have an area of my garden that's all the way in the back that I think I would like to make a perennial asparagus bed. So we'll see. Maybe I'll end up, I'm going to try and sow these, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So that's all the MI Gardener seeds. And then the final kind of group of seeds are ones that I was either gifted or I bought from a local, like a local kind of hardware store. So I have these 4 were actually in a kit that my mother-in-law gave me that are all historic seeds from Monticello, which is kind of fun. This one's English lavender. I have a bed in the front of my house that has a bunch of lavender bushes, but a big section of them died. And so I want to replant lavender in the area that it died, so that is more filled out. This is dill. This is something I'm going to put out in the front of my house as well to enjoy the flowers and everything from. I'm going to grow parsley. I think we're going to eat a bunch of it. And then I also want to put in, this is spearmint. Spearmint, you have to be very careful. Mint in general, you have to be very careful because it can grow like a weed. So I'm going to be putting this in a container. But I absolutely love mint. Mint is one of my favorite flavors. I like to make mint chocolate chip smoothies. And I also love to make mint tea. So I'm hoping to have more mint. But as I said, I'm going to keep it in a container because I don't want my entire yard taken over my mint. The next thing I'm going to grow is tomatillos. These are just from Burpee. For some reason, I think My Gardener was sold out. So I found these at my local store. These are going to be great for salsa. And then I have kale. This is my second variety of kale I'm going to grow. We eat a ton of kale, and so I wanted 2 different varieties to see which one I liked best. And the last one is mustard greens. We eat a bunch of mustard greens as well. I really like them cooked. And so hopefully we'll have plenty to freeze for the winter. So let me go into really quickly what seeds I bought that I'm not going to be planting, just so you guys could see the other things that come in the Haas Acre Homestead group. Next thing I'm not going to be planting is beets. The reason is because my husband really does not like to eat beets, and it's just me and my husband at home, and so it doesn't really make sense for me to grow them, especially when I can get them from my local farm share. And these are also like long and thin, another root, which means I would need deeper planters to plant these, and so it doesn't really make sense for me to purchase containers to grow these beets in for 1 year when my husband's not going to eat them. The next thing is radishes. Kind of the same story. We don't eat a lot of radishes, so it doesn't really make sense for me to grow them, and I know it's another thing that my farm share will have. Cucumbers. This is such a hot take, and I know nobody will agree with me. I don't like cucumbers. I know that's crazy. I just really don't like them. I don't like how they taste. They're just not my preferred vegetable, and so I'm not going to grow them. I know everybody else loves them, but I just don't, and so it just doesn't make sense for me to grow them. The next 2 things that came in the Haas group are different lettuces. I was absolutely overwhelmed last year with the amount of lettuce we got from our farm share. I mean, we got like a huge bag of lettuce every single week, and my husband and I could not get through it. I was gifting it to friends every week, and so I really was I can't grow lettuce to also be getting more from my farm share. It's just too much. And the reason I'm growing so much kale, so much mustard, so much spinach is because I can actually preserve that. But lettuce, I really can't. You can't really preserve it and eat it fresh over, I don't enjoy the taste of cooked lettuce. I know you can cook it. It's just not my preference. And so I'm not going to be growing these. Maybe next year. Next one is Delicata Squash. This is another one that I have growing out my ears when my CSA comes in. They actually have so much, this past year, they had so much squash and zucchini. They were giving it away. They had this huge bucket, and it's just take as many as you want. And so I got tons of free zucchini last year, which I froze, and I've been enjoying all through the winter, but it just doesn't make sense for me to grow it myself when I'm going to be getting a ton for free from my farm share. The last 3 things that came in that group are all flowers. These are absolutely beautiful flowers, and I'm sure that there are many people who would love to grow flowers. I know flowers are really great companion plants because they bring pollinators in. We have a huge section of our yard that has wild mountain mint. It has wild, they're called like lightning flowers, something like that. They're these bright yellow. They're all like a wild native plant, and I just let them grow. Our yard is just so overgrown at this point, I just leave it. And so that really attracts all the pollinators into that area. It's right near my garden beds. So I'm not gonna bother with flowers. We had monarch butterflies, we had tons of bees, tons of like all of these different pollinators that came in. And so I'm not really that worried about trying to attract pollinators into my yard, because we don't have just like a suburban grass yard. Ours is kind of halfway wild already. So there's not really a large reason for me to grow flowers to bring in pollinators. Calendula, a lot of people have said this is great to make salve. And I just don't think I'm going to have the time to do that this year. So I'm going to wait on that. And so that's my plan. I'm not going to be growing flowers this year. I just need to simplify. The only other things I purchased this year that I won't be using are a few things from M.I. Gardener. I purchased this Paul Robeson tomato. These look really great, but I'm already going to be growing several other varieties of tomato. Oh, I should have mentioned, I have these paste tomato seeds. I actually saved these last year. I bought a bunch of paste tomatoes from my local farm share, and I saved the seeds. So I'll probably be growing some paste tomatoes. I don't know what variety of these. I think they might be Amish paste, but I don't actually know. So I will probably grow a few paste tomato plants as well. I bought this Paul Robeson tomato. I love purple tomatoes. I also found at the local store, this is my absolute favorite variety of tomato is Cherokee Purple. I absolutely love these, but they are very large. I don't think they grow very well in containers, and I have so many other tomatoes that I'm growing. I decided not to grow these, and I will just be trying to get these from my local farm share. Kind of the same story as Paul Robeson tomato, looks great, but I have too many other things I'm growing. M.I. Gardener sends you kind of a free packet when you order, and these are spicy globe basil. I'm just going to stick with Genovese basil. I bought rainbow carrots. I thought these would be really good, but again, these are really, really long. These are not container friendly carrots, and so these are not going to work for me this year, but hopefully next year. And then I also ordered these Tokyo bunching kind of green onions. I placed this order before I saw the Haas ones, and so I ended up with 2 different types of green onions. I don't think I need to plant 2, so I'm only planting 1. So these are my extras. So the next part of either this video or another video, I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to go and show you on the computer where I'm going to plant all these things and kind of what my garden looks like, and maybe give you a little garden tour. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for sitting down and listening to me talk today and get all excited about all my seeds. I hope you guys are getting excited about your spring garden too. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.